Do you think you have everything in place? Maybe on paper, the business, the experience, you even take opportunities. Still feel like something is missing. What's interesting is that what's driving your decisions is not fully aligned. Today we are talking about purpose, not as an idea, but as something that directly shapes how you operate in your business. My guest today is Victori Dioh, the African Oracle. She has worked at a high level, including managing part of the 9 billion London Olympics programme. Now, she focuses on helping leaders reconnect with their purpose and close the gaps that disrupt their performance. I'm Ildiko Seely, your routine and performance strategist, and I work with ambitious people like you, who are already capable, who are already in motion, just not operating at the level that you should be. Enjoy Routine is Revenue, where we connect your personal health routines directly with your business performance. So Victoria, most people say they want clarity on their purpose. Where do you see people actually avoiding purpose, even when they say they want it?
So people hear purpose, but I don't think people understand what purpose is.
Okay,
A
that's
lot of
interesting.
people, yeah, so a lot of people come from a place of what's my why? And actually, your purpose is what's your what?
Okay.
So, what are you here to do? When you understand what you're here to do, then you stop trying to think what your purpose is and you just go and do it. But a lot of people think that, well, it's my why and it's the reason why I do stuff. No, it's what you are here to do. So when people say it, it's either because they've heard purpose being mentioned in different connotations, and also they believe that their purpose is something that they can choose, and it's not.
How interesting, because indeed, an awful lot of mentors do say start with your why. I mean, there's a famous book from Simon Sinek, and I do kind of associate with it, start with why. But having had mentoring myself, as we all do, to this very day, I still wonder, have I got my why nailed? And I often don't feel that I have, but when you ask me what am I here to do, the one thing that I do know for certain, 2 years ago, literally almost to the day, I announced to the world that I want to do something amazing in this life. And I do say, here I am doing it.
So your purpose is a lot more specific to that. I mean, at the moment, I'm talking a lot about Purpose Guaranteed, which is one of the initiatives that I run where I give you a purpose within 90 minutes guaranteed. Your purpose isn't something that you choose. Your purpose is something so specific. And when you can give it to people and it is so specific that they can't go off the rails, or if they go off the rails, they can quickly come back on it. Imagine a train, right? Imagine a train on the rails. You can't come off the rails, but if you do, you can quickly recalibrate. You then start to create more results and more specific results. So, for example, clients of mine have gone from either being completely stuck, completely terrified, ill, down, depressed, to sharing stages with celebrities. The only way you can do that is if you know your purpose, and then you can focus on where you're going and create rapid results. So when people talk about purpose, I feel as if it's very fluid and very, oh, well, I can take it or leave it. And actually, when you stop looking at your purpose, or you don't bother looking for your purpose, you tend to create more chaos and more misalignment in your life.
That's really thought provoking. When we talk about purpose in a business context, what does it actually mean in practical terms beyond something that just sounds good? So, yeah, like
Exactly.
why you do things, how do you guide your life?
Great question. So, first and foremost, you need to understand your purpose. So, what you're here to do on this earth. And then you need to understand the purpose of your business. Then you start to map it together. Purpose of your business and your purpose are not necessarily the same, but they will fit together. And if you can pull them together, again, you start to create the results that you want. You also start to create the relationships that you want as well. So the two have to come together. Your why is normally why you're doing something. So it's what makes you get out of bed in the morning. So yes, you do have a purpose, but for me, for example, my purpose is to detangle people's lives by giving them their purpose so that they can fall in love with their life again. I know that. I wake up every morning and I know that. Now, what does that look like? It involves I may use healing for that. I may use intuition for that. Those are the hows, right? But the reason why I get up every morning is just so that I can support my mom. It's that simple. It's like, it's so that my family never have to go down the route of uh, poverty and what have you. That's what I honestly believe. And when I think of my mom, I don't feel tired. I don't feel as if, oh God, you know what, today I'm just going to watch Netflix. I get up and I do stuff. That's my why. But I have a purpose to fulfill. And that purpose is a God given gift. And I don't care whether people believe in God or not, it has nothing to do with religion. It's what you get given. So, for example, actually, it's not even an example, just to give you some clarification. When you're born, you're given three things. Three. That's all you're given. Three things. When you're born, you're first given a breath. So you have
Mm.
you take a breath, you get smacked on the bottom, and you breathe.
Yeah.
Right? And then you get given your intuition, which is why babies who are just born, they sometimes have tendencies where you go, oh my God, they've been here before. They're literally tapping into their intuition. They've got it. And it's so pure. And then they get given their purpose. Here's the problem though. Society is here to seduce you of all those three things. So as soon as you are given your breath, you have your parents, the nurses, if you were birthed in a hospital, everybody's fears and beliefs you absorb, whether you know it or not, whether it's thoughts energetically, you absorb it. Because you're absorbing the fears, you start to breathe shallowly. Meanwhile, if you watch the way a baby breathes normally, they breathe like it's a wave. And once they
Okay.
start feeling scared, they start breathing, which is why as adults we breathe more shallowly than
Yeah.
we're meant to breathe, right? Then you get given your intuition. If you're scared, you're not going to use your intuition. So straight away your intuition starts to go down. And then because it's going down, you ain't got no chance of looking for your purpose because you're living a life of fear. So you never look for your purpose. So the more you tap into your purpose and you understand your purpose and you embody your purpose, and then you learn how to monetize from your purpose, your intuition gets higher, your breathing gets better.
That's really interesting because then there are others who actually encourage you to learn to breathe properly, like breathe deep and learn all different techniques because all the different breathing techniques are sort of serving different purpose into how we conduct ourselves and how we control ourselves for a better me kind of thing. Um, but yeah, and it's a bit of a circle, isn't it? You breathe well, you feed your intuition feeds your purpose, you grow and you do better things in life.
And you're right, it is a circle. It's not like you've got an entry point from different angles, but you just need to remember that you are being seduced to not breathe as well, to not use your intuition, and to not connect to your purpose. Because if you did all these three things, you would be so powerful. All these running around in circles trying to sort things out, you wouldn't be doing. But the powers that be, when I say the powers that be, like the society itself, they're very clever, even putting sort of like subliminal messages around the world. It could be like a TV advert that you didn't even realize came on, or a notice board as you're driving down the road. You don't know what's being put into your system for you to then sort of like start breathing in a shallow way, to start misinterpreting your intuition, and also to not really tap into your purpose. So you can go in from either way. I'm not here to say one's right, one's wrong. Most important is learn how to have those three things, and then you'll understand why you are here by tapping into the what, not just into the ego of, well, this is what I'd like to do and this is what I believe I should be doing. Because our ego is also very powerful, and it can make us think that we know what we're here for, and actually most of the time that's not true. And I see it a lot in business. I see people going, this is my idea and this is what I believe I'm meant to do, and nobody can tell me different. And I look at it and I go, that's not your purpose.
Do you often come across situations like that?
All the time, all the time,
So why
all the
is
time.
it that capable business owners with experience, with opportunities, and they still feel misaligned, unfulfilled when things are working on the surface, by the look of it, but as I say, they are misaligned? Why do you think that is?
It's not their fault. That's the first thing. So, if you're a business owner, it is definitely not your fault. The thing is, people go into business for different reasons. And I promise you this, I did not go into business because of purpose at all. Like, I just went in because I needed the money and I'd been spat out of corporate, which I really enjoyed. And I needed to find a way. I've had these skills, and I was like, well, if people can pay me for these skills, then I'm good to go. So I just needed the money. So when most people go into business, you don't go in because of purpose. You go into business because you feel like you can either help the world somehow, or you've got a great idea, and that's what you go into. However, most entrepreneurs have got previous lives. Most have got previous lives.
We all carry our past with us and all those past experiences.
Right. And some of those lives are from either corporate or working for somebody else, whatever that looks like, you still carry those things with you. And when you come into business, at some point, because a lot of us are high performance individuals, we've started to realize or not realize that we're actually numbing a lot of those emotions.
Mm.
So the question you asked was around misalignment. It's more the fact that those emotions that we've numbed for ages because we're such giving people and we want to help the world and we
Yeah.
want to we want to do everything right and we want to overgive, and if we can help it, not charge as much but make loads of money and stuff, like we're almost a contradiction to ourselves, but those emotions need somewhere to go. So when you fall into your business and you're trying to save the world, this is your test. And this is where the misalignment comes from. The misalignment comes because it's like, okay, so you're trying to sort everybody else out, but what about you?
Mm.
And we keep on distracting ourselves and going, yeah, but what about the other people? And then the misalignment keeps coming back and it will manifest itself in behavior that doesn't become you. You speaking awfully to yourself that you wouldn't let another human being speak to you for, making excuses, creating chaos, whatever the illness is, whether it's mental illnesses or physical illnesses, those emotions that have come from your previous life have somewhere to come out. And that's what looks like misalignment. When you understand what you're here to do, you start to take your life back, because it's almost like you are channeling into a radio frequency. For those who are old enough to remember radios that had knobs on them that you could turn,
Yeah.
it's like you start to tune into a frequency that is yours and nobody else's, and that's where you get rid of competition. That's where you stand in conviction of yourself.
That's really powerful. Like some things you said just a few sentences ago, and that is the whole thing. Actually, this is exactly where it fits into the spiritual health part or pillar of
Yeah.
my method, and that's exactly why I invited you to talk about this
Oh,
topic,
thank
because it is quite ignored. And I think by the sound of it, what you're saying, that people just don't understand what purpose is and how that relates to their life and their business, is exactly why it's so important to talk about it. And it comes in the spiritual health kind of area, and you need to manage that, need to be aware of it and manage that in order to move forward in your life.
Yeah,
So
100%.
in your own practice, how do you identify that someone is operating out of this misalignment, and how do you guide them back to a clearer sense of purpose?
By the time somebody comes to me, they know that something's missing
Mm.
and they can't put their finger on it. They know that they're meant for bigger things. They just don't know how to get there. So I never get the question, oh, do you think I'm on purpose? I normally just get, can you give me my purpose, please? And yeah, yeah.
Is
So,
it
and I
because
would,
that's the title of, well, you already mentioned it, that you have a 90-minute conversation with someone and you're guaranteed to find that purpose? I assume it's through conversation.
it's not a conversation. I don't ask you any questions.
Oh,
It is, yep, there's no questions. That's why it's called purpose guaranteed, because a lot of people, so I've heard that you'll get somebody come to you and go, well, what's your passion and what lights you up and what do you enjoy? I don't ask any of those questions. People come on a Zoom and I will tell them the purpose, guaranteed.
okay. Is that a your trade secret to say how?
I give them the purpose, and once they receive their purpose, they will either go, oh, that's it. And I've had one person go, I don't want that purpose. And I've said, that's the purpose. And funnily enough, the person who went, I don't want that purpose, went away and literally created incredible things. They were actually at the big festoon, funnily enough, and we were joking about it because where they've gone is beyond dreams, and it was on that purpose. And I remember meeting them afterwards, going, "You do know that you've just literally exploded on your purpose." They're like, I know, but they didn't. They were like, "I didn't want it," and that's the mistake. People go, "Oh, they think I can go." When I go, "Here's your purpose," they think they can go, "Don't want that one, I want that one." It's like, no, your purpose. And that's another thing. Your purpose isn't necessarily what you want, it is yours. And it is yours to embody and make your own.
If you were listening to this thinking this is exactly where I get stuck, that is not accidental. You have the business strategies, but leaking energy and focus through weak personal health routines. This is the work I do privately with business owners who are ready to build their routines so their business can run without it costing them their health. Being a very pragmatic person and very practical myself, this all sounds like magic to me. Do you need to know anything about that person, or what is it
No.
that you're basing your, because it feels like it's an intuition that comes from your soul.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay,
It
so
is my gift.
what happens in 90 minutes? What is it? Do you talk to the person? Do you look at the person? Do you feel the person? I don't know. It just,
You could call it magic if you want to. It is a gift. I believe in God. I believe it's a gift from God. But I'll normally ask people like, what do you want to do? Do you want to ask me questions first, or do you want your purpose? Some people pay me a lot of money just to come and see if I can truly give them their purpose, which is hilarious and stuff. And they'll go, "I want my purpose first," and I'll give them the purpose, and they're like, "Oh my God." Oh my God. And then they ask questions, and they can ask any questions they want. They will leave with all their questions answered, and then they receive a plan. And the plan is, where do you go next with this? So, for example, one person came to me. Um, he came to me because he'd just been made redundant. He was worried about the money that he had in place in his bank account, that it was going to end. And he'd given himself like 3 months or so to really do something worthwhile.
I would imagine there's a lot of people in that kind of
Oh,
situation.
yeah. Oh, yeah. I've just signed up one, two, three people onto Purpose Guaranteed in this week alone, just this week, and every single one has had a redundancy issue or story.
Mm.
And it's that whole thing of, I don't know where I'm going next. Like, I don't have any direction. When they receive their purpose, they can start straight away see the direction. When they ask questions, whether it's a what, why, who, when, I will give them that information, and then we will create a plan, and I'll give them a plan and say, "This is your plan to take." Now, previously I used to just read out the plan and give them the recording, and they'd take it away. Now I actually create the plan, because I've come from managing £9 billion programs. So I managed the Olympics 2012. So I've decided that, do you know what? As a gift, I'm going to use my tools and techniques to learn how to manage a multi-billion-pound program, and I'm going to create you a program for your purpose.
Amazing. So
Look
I'm
at your
still,
face.
yeah.
I love, I love this.
You know, my brain is just I feel like a dog with a bone. Like I just want to know how, especially when you've explained now your process. I kind of feel like asking. I know I've obviously haven't paid you money for it, but like here we are, like on a call, and it's like you've now spoken to me for like 15, 20 minutes. Probably inside you, you know what my purpose is, but I am absolutely scared out of my wits to ask you, what do you think that purpose was? Because I put
Yeah.
in so much effort in the past year or so into building up what I'm doing, and I love what I'm doing, and I want to take it to some great heights in my business life. And I wouldn't want you to tell me something else.
Do you know what's so funny? And I love this comment that you've just made, is that it's one of the reasons why sometimes people will not come in and get their purpose. But actually, the thing that people don't know, or maybe I've not done a great job of telling people, is I give you your purpose. So I tell you your purpose, and you go out and you embody it and
Mm.
monetize it without tearing down what you've already created.
Okay.
Because here's the incredible thing that people don't realize, is that along your life, your purpose has met you. So along your life, your purpose has popped in and gone higher, and you're so focused on trying to do what's right because of the beliefs that you've got, maybe because your parents told you to do this or because everybody else is doing that, that you don't even see or hear the purpose. And by the way, we've all done it. We've all done it, right? So your purpose has met you. So when you create stuff, you create it sometimes with a bit of a flavor of your purpose rather than the full entirety of the purpose. So when people take their purpose, they never ever strip down. I've had one person who walked away from a previous life, but that's because she was studying. She'd been failing her exams continuously for 2 years. Her purpose was all about well, it wasn't her purpose, but the route to her purpose was about finding a job that she enjoyed, that she loved, which we found in 3 weeks. It was crazy.
Her studies weren't fitting into their
They
direction.
weren't, no, they weren't. And her purpose actually involved traveling. And now she's saved up enough money from the beautiful job she's got where they love her and she's had no panic attacks, which she used to get. She's ADHD as well. Her panic attacks have stopped. Her focus is like spot on. And now she's getting ready to go traveling. She's traveling in 2 months' time and what have you. So she's the only person who's pulled out from one piece of her life and then started something else. But everybody else has never had to break it down. And I think with entrepreneurs as well, they feel like, oh, do you know what? I've spent so much time and money in this space trying to build this. If you tell me a purpose that doesn't connect to this, I'm just going to be heartbroken. It never is. You never have to. And I don't even know what people do half of the time. And oh, the purpose that I give has nothing to do necessarily with their business, but there are strands that bring it together.
That's really interesting. And just so going back to the overall spiritual health pillar that we need to manage is, spiritual health to me is not just about meditating or praying, which to me is pretty much the same thing. Whether you believe in God, you pray; you don't believe in God, you meditate. But you want to manifest a better life for yourself. But also
Right.
it is indeed finding your purpose. It is setting those values, life and business values, but then finding alignment with everything.
Hmm.
So people who are listening and kind of wondering like, okay, am I fulfilling my purpose? But then when you find that you are not exactly aligned with what you're doing, then probably you are not acting towards your assigned purpose. But then what happens if someone continues building a business or a life or a career without that alignment? Even if they keep achieving externally, they don't feel fulfilled because they are not aligned. What happens to people?
They develop either physical or mental
Mm-hmm.
ailments. Again, I get people who come to me who, like I say, get panic attacks, and as soon as they tap into their purpose, the panic attacks stop and what have you. You've got people who are very angry, who hold a lot of grudges. You've got people who blame everything else but themselves and what have you. You just see somebody betraying who they really are. So that's why your purpose is, some people call it, I don't know if North Star is the same as purpose, but people will say, oh, I need to know where my North Star is. I need to know where I'm going. I need to know my direction.
So many things have different names. So if somebody calls it their North Star, then that's
That's
fine.
and that's up to
It's still
them,
the same
right?
thing, isn't it? You have to have the right direction in front of you.
Yeah, you have to have the right direction. But when you decide not to look for your purpose because you're being successful, just the fact that you're successful externally, but you don't feel it internally, that itself is the alarm bell that gets my clients coming to me and go, something's off. Just that. Just that feeling. Because when you start feeling like, oh, internally I'm not successful, it could be for any reason, such as maybe you feel like a stranger in your own life. Maybe you feel like you're existing rather than living. Maybe you feel as if, you don't know your children anymore. Every time you get praised and go, oh my God, you're so amazing, you're doing great things, you find yourself wilting down inside, going, oh, if only they knew the truth. This isn't the real me. But
Yeah.
then you have to get on stage and show this person of who you are because you have to show face to your peers, to your competitors. So it can manifest itself in different ways, different feelings, different ailments. I know people who've been very ill because of it, but I also know people who have just created so much chaos because of it.
I always ask my guests to give the listeners one particular simple routine they can introduce into their life. Now, we're talking about purpose, and of course, this is your gift to see and find that purpose in your clients. But can you give any advice people can do to try and find their own purpose? Do we actually have that gift in ourselves?
Become more vigilant and pay more attention to the things that you're doing in your life. It's sort of like when you're doing something, what result does that give you? So, for example, it could be how you socialize. When you socialize with certain people, do you leave there happy or do you leave there sad? Just clearing out your life and making sure that the things that you do increase your vibration. It really helps. It doesn't necessarily connect you to your purpose, but it puts you more on a stance where you could meet your purpose quicker. How do you speak to yourself? How do you speak about others? Right?
Yeah,
How do you speak?
absolutely.
Yeah, how do you speak about others? What are you avoiding? That's a big one. Like, what are you avoiding? Right? So, it's something. I went to the gym this before coming to this, and I got a message to focus on something in particular, and I felt myself welling up, and I was like, oh my god. And as I looked up, there was a sign in the gym that I've been going to for years, on and off, and this sign just says, nothing is impossible. Never seen it before.
Ah,
Never seen it before. And I literally almost fell off, like where I was sat. And I was like, what's going on? So we've always been given messages. But here's the thing. I believe somebody made a comment years ago and saying, oh, I don't owe my success to anyone. I'm self-sufficient. You're not self-sufficient. There is a higher being
yeah,
that
absolutely.
helps guide you. You need to believe in something, right? I believe in God. You need to believe in something.
I believe in the universe, but as I said, it's pretty much the same thing. We believe in an external force that guides us, that helps us co-create.
You just need to believe in something. You need to believe in something that wakes you up. You need to pray. You need to connect and meditate. I do both every morning
Mm.
and stuff. And it's so funny. Like sometimes I'll be watching how people are just getting chaotic around them. Like, Vic, that doesn't happen to you. I'm like, girl, you've put in the work. Like you get up every morning and you do these practices every single morning. And before I go to bed, I pray. Listen, my life isn't perfect. I promise you. 2 years ago, my business was falling flat on its face and stuff. And it's all because I was doing more panicking than more sort of like really tapping into my purpose. But the one thing I knew was that this was an experience so that I could teach other people when I got through it. So I always knew I was going to get through it. So my advice is check around you. What's going on? Tap into your intuition, especially if you have children. You know when your children are safe. You know when your children are lying. That energy, tap it into your business. I promise you, you'll start to create intuitive business, right? You'll start to create intuitive strategies because you're going to take your business like your child and go, what needs to happen? Okay. Treating your business well, responding to messages. Some people come to me and go, Vic, oh my God, I'm not getting any business. And I go, how many unopened messages have you got in your inbox? And they go, oh, I don't. And they
Don't
go,
ask me.
I don't. I'm not a telephone person now. I'm like, dude, you were born before the mobile phone. What do you mean you're not a telephone person? And people are just like, oh yeah, but I don't. I'm like, and if they go through, they'll normally see that there's messages going, hey, how much do you charge for this? Oh, can we have a chat? But you ignore it. I know that for sure because there are two people I have messaged in the last year and they still haven't responded to my messages.
This was that you wanted their services.
Yeah, about their
Wow.
services. And I won't work with them now. Your ability to receive is very low. And just to add to this, it's not just about knowing your purpose, it's about receiving your purpose, embodying it, and then choosing whether to monetize it or to put it into your job, right? It doesn't have
Yeah.
to be all about
It's
business.
kind of monetizing, isn't it, when it's your career? So that
Yeah.
leads me on beautifully to the last question. If someone truly understands and operates from their purpose, how does it change the level they play at and the legacy that they are building?
Girl, I was going to put a post out about that in the next 2 days. Your purpose will give you a legacy, full stop, right? Your purpose will give you a legacy. A bit like what you're saying, that it sounds like magic. It is magic, but do you know why it looks like magic? Because I didn't just start at this level giving purpose. I did it and I was like, oh, that's a thing. Come. And then I started inviting people at a lower cost, going, come in and get your purpose. And people started getting results. There's nobody else in the market that I know that does what I do. And when I say purpose guaranteed, people go, guaranteed? Like, I'm like, yep. There isn't anybody whose purpose I haven't given them. But I stand by, if I don't give it to you in those 90 minutes, we normally give you a purpose in 15, 20 minutes, by the way. I think the best one was 10. I will continue working with you. And that is a guarantee. And my time is not cheap. You tend to not compete. You're literally working with a higher vibration. You're a lot more happier. You're a lot more, get this, creative. So you start to create things that you can't even possibly imagine. What I'm bringing up next, oh my God, what I'm bringing up next is sensational. And if you'd have asked me about that even last year, I couldn't have told you that this is what it is. It is phenomenal. Phenomenal. And you manifest more opportunities as well when you're in purpose.
Who assigned your purpose?
I didn't get given my purpose as such, but the person who lit a fire under it was somebody who I got referred to when I had the voice that said something's missing. I was actually managing the Olympics at the time. And I thought I was depressed. I was really worried because I was like, I'm earning a whole lot of money here. So if you're telling me there's something missing, a bit like what you just said, I haven't got time to start to retrain to do something else because this is really lucrative and I enjoy it. And I got referred to this guy and he told me, he basically said, you have a gift and you need to explore it. So it wasn't exactly my purpose. And I remember saying to him, I'm not interested. and he said, you can't run away
better
from
be.
it. Yeah. He said, you can't run away from it. And my response was, watch me. And I went back into corporate and then eventually life caught up with me and I had to succumb to my purpose.
Victoria, that was very insightful, but scary a little bit. It's certainly magic. I don't know, I've got these butterflies in my tummy. I'll be very scared to hear my purpose from you. But yeah, it was a very, very interesting conversation. But I do wish all our listeners to find their true purpose and have a fulfilled life. Look after your spiritual health, everyone. Victoria, thank you very much for joining me for this conversation. Enjoy the rest of your day.
You too.
If this episode has shown you where weak health routines are costing you revenue, your next step is simple. Ask yourself this question. Is your business draining your energy faster than it grows? If the answer might be yes, I invite you to book a conversation via the link in the show notes. If this conversation made you think, please subscribe, leave a comment, and listen again. If you would like more information on the topic or my guest, all information is in the show notes. Remember, your business will only ever be as healthy as you. Together, let's build routines to bank results.